A small Saskatchewan town is offering folks $30,000 to move there. What exactly is the town of Moosomin offering? Why are they doing it? And why do I think that this is something that all Saskatchewan cities and towns should adopt?
This is the Saskatchewan Real Estate Podcast.
With so many people in Canada looking for a cheap way to get into a property, a small Saskatchewan town might have the perfect answer. This story is coming from Discover Estevan. Moosomin offering $30,000 for people to build houses and apartments in the town. So Larry Tomlinson, the mayor of Moosomin, says that they're able to pay for that thanks to the federal housing program. Here's a quote. "We've been really short of housing and listings, and we applied for the federal government's Housing Accelerator program, and we were lucky enough to get it. We got close to $1 million over 4 years, and we kind of thought outside of the box a little, trying to figure out what would be the best way to do it. So we decided to put the money up front. When somebody builds a home, as soon as it's approved and residents move into it, we'll give them $30,000. Wonderful, great idea, a really creative way of using that accelerator fund to help grow the community. Later on in the story, the program will be limited, as Tomlinson says, as they've only got money for just over a few dozen houses. We have to guarantee 43 units, 43 doors, but once the 43 doors are filled, that will be the end of the program because that's when the money will run out. We're hoping that we'll fill it within a couple of years, and it's looking very promising. And based on the level of content that's been generated from this story, I see this story at CBC, CTV, so I think it's really unique about how Moosomin is using these funds. So why are they doing it? The long and short of it is that most towns in Saskatchewan are suffering from depopulation. Let's go to a story from Yahoo News that I think touches on this point. But the early part of the story basically outlines how local businesses are loving this injection of potential growth and how this could help benefit the community. This just kind of reiterates the part about $30,000 for these homes being built. One thing I really liked about this story in particular, though, is they kind of touched on the crux of why this is important for Saskatchewan communities, and I think this could be applied more broadly. While the Saskatchewan town is growing, much of rural Canada is facing a slow and relentless population decline. Studies have found rural communities are aging faster and in many cases struggling to attract immigrants. During the pandemic, internal migration patterns shifted as many people left larger cities for urban or rural areas, but researchers say it's too early to tell if those who relocated are staying. Michael Han, an associate professor and demographer at Western University in London, Ontario, says Moosomin is an example of two-step migration being done well on the prairies. That's when people come to Canada as temporary foreign workers or international students and eventually make the transition to permanent status. He says the town's housing strategy really stands out. One of the things I find really impressive is how bold the initiative is, Han said. And just say $30,000, let's do this. He says the example Moosomin is setting is something that other municipalities and jurisdictions should pay attention to and try their own approach. Because there are fairly acute labor shortages in Canada, and we have to start thinking creatively to try and address them. So to recap all this, I think this is a great story and could actually be a win for the federal Liberals, as they've been getting a lot of heat lately for the lack of real building taking place with their announcing of the Housing Accelerator Fund. I think the beautiful thing about smaller communities, not just in Saskatchewan, but Canada-wide, is that they are more flexible when it comes to things like using the Accelerator Fund and handing out $30,000 for someone building a new home, and that because these communities are so incentivized to grow, there's a real groundswell and positivity around things like this. My thought is the problem with the Accelerator Fund in major cities, or even big cities like Regina and Saskatoon, is there's a large portion of the population that don't want to see growth. So barriers are put up, cost analysis are done, and in the end, not a lot of forward movement takes place. I think Moosomin has done a fantastic job of tapping into this federal resource and using it not only to help get more houses built, but also using it as an amazing marketing opportunity to attract immigrants, people interprovincially, and people from all across the country to consider moving to Moosomin. And I think that what we'll see in the future is towns that adopt these progressive, forward-thinking incentives to attract newcomers will benefit economically, and this will help spur growth in other smaller communities. Let me know in the comments what you think about moving to Moosomin or potentially another small town in Saskatchewan. How much money would you need to be incentivized to move there? Thanks for checking out this episode of the Saskatchewan Real Estate Podcast. If you found it informative and liked it, make sure to like and subscribe to catch future episodes. 2 quick points before I let you go. The Saskatchewan Real Estate Podcast has teamed up with the Saskatchewan Realtors Association to help get you to the State of Real Estate coming up on September 26th in Saskatoon. If you love the province's real estate market and are looking for more information, make sure to grab a ticket. And if you do, make sure to use the discount code RON10 for 10% off your ticket. And lastly, I want to help you win $2,500. All you have to do is recommend me as a mortgage broker to a friend, family member, or colleague. And if I do a discovery call with that person, your name gets entered in to win the prize to win your mortgage payment or rent payment up to $2,500. Until next week, I'm Ron Caroni, your Saskatchewan mortgage professional. Bye for now.